Well, I will have to see how my audio is doing between the birds and the wind. I'm not sure, and I haven't done anything with the microphone, so I'm not sure if it's close enough to me. There we go. It's windy. Hey, Dawn. Now we are sitting on the front porch this time instead of the back porch, and I should probably arrange my shirt so you can all see that I'm wearing my Battle Unicorn shirt. For those of you that are familiar with my Pixie Noir series, then you'll know where the Battle Unicorn came from. I found this at a game store. I didn't have this made, although I would have had I thought of it, but I didn't, so I bought it. I don't know, windy compared to where you live, Koala. Probably not terribly windy, but it's quite breezy. The front porch, because we have vines and it's recessed and facing the opposite direction as the wind, it's a calm little oasis. Hello, Ben. Yeah, 60 to 75 mile per hour gusts sounds unpleasant, Dawn. Um, and I'm glad that I'm not there right now. I actually thought about setting up inside because I'm late. For those of you that know, I usually do this at 6 p.m. Central. I got in up here and we were fixing the garage door and unloading the car, and all of a sudden I realized it was 6:30. So, late live stream today. Koala, that does not sound well. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could market that as a spa thing, but it does not sound like it would be fun to get sandblasted. Ooh, Dawn, that really does not sound good. Hopefully, you get to stay home and stay safe. 8-car pile up. Hi, Julie. Dawn's saying that they're having nasty wind, the sky is brown, there's an 8-car pile up. Not fun. Not fun at all. I feel much better about our comparatively breezy day here.
I prefer to avoid brown skies and 8-car pileups.
Yes. We're going to have to get used to the wind here because we are we are used to
I'm used to having trees around to break the wind.
right, we're used to having more trees and less prairies all the way north of us to Canada, where so the wind just comes whipping through.
And they have
And
real trees in Ohio.
Julie,
not
I'm
these
guessing,
scrubs.
yeah, um, Julie, I'm guessing that the dust storm in Albuquerque is related to Dawn's brown sky there. So, well, Dawn, why aren't you actually drinking? I mean, that sounds to me like a night for drinking. Um, Ben, my dad is in North Carolina, and my mom is in Kentucky. That might be who you're thinking about. And not that I could think of. We've already handled getting mom's pistol repaired and back to her. Um, Evidently, we've got quite the people doing routes back and forth. So yeah. So, but I mean, as my lateness may imply, Koala depends on if there's another adult there as far as whether you can start drinking. My policy was always that I could not be drinking unless there was another adult to monitor the children. Uh, oh, point, Dawn. Hopefully you do not have to evacuate critters. Um, oh, it's been a long day. It's been a long week. Okay, so probably not drinking, Koala. Sorry about that. Uh, part of the reason that I've never done much in the way of drinking. Jolie, so glad you could join us. Part of the reason I've never done much in the way of drinking is that I was usually the adult in charge. So, and currently, we have booze here at the house, but I am not going to tonight because I still have to figure out dinner when I'm done talking to y'all. And since the boy did not plan dinner, I'm not really sure what I'm doing about dinner. So to figure that out here shortly. Um, yeah, it's this whole betwixt and between. Half my life is still in the apartment and half of it is up here at the house, and the house is a construction zone. Um, and yeah, it just means that life is even more chaotic than usual, which is stressful for everybody. And yeah, Jolie, if I'm too tired and I drink, I will go right to sleep, which sometimes is what I want to do, and I actually will occasionally have a nightcap just so that I can go to sleep. Woohoo! Glad to hear it. I don't know how we wound up in literary short stories, but I will take breaking into the top 10 of any category. I saw we were inching up in the other categories too. I think where we're at with fantasy anthologies and Greek and Roman mythology, which is an interesting category to be in. But for those of you that haven't heard, the latest anthology, Ghosts of Malta, dropped I think technically last night, but we've all been pushing it today. I have a story in this one, and I don't know how many of us there are in this one 10, 12? It's somewhere in that 10 or 12 stories. And of course, the inimitable Law Dog has a. I don't know if you're going to be able to get in the picture, love. Has a fantastic and very amusing history of Malta to start it off. So I'm looking forward to seeing when the reviews start to roll in on this one. Should be an interesting one. So Dawn, I did not get any writing done either today. So I have made art because I've been doing the space art, um, and I have been doing that because it takes less time for me than sitting down, composing, and actually doing an illustration. Um, so all of my illustrating work is kind of had the brakes tapped. I had planned to have the next Lodog collaboration storybook slash coloring book out by Telcon, and I do not think I'm going to make it. I'm down to the last probably half a dozen illustrations, but then there's layout and formatting, and frankly, I have been exhausted, and I am not going to push myself that hard right now because I cannot afford to get sick. So, just doing what I can do, and right now that is the easy art that I can do. I'll render and then a little photo composite and then I can post it. It's been fun though because doing the space art has been this cool kind of a um, a thing where I can do story ideas and weird stuff because I'm taking it a little bit at a time, and I appreciate that, sir. I really do because I've been trying, and it's just I'm at a point where I've got to do the day job stuff, and the second job, which is driving me up a wall, and then the third job tends to get kicked down the road, and that's not even getting into this whole trying to get the house renovated. Um, Last week the kid did some really fantastic progress. This week he got pulled off the job a little bit to do another job, which was great. I'm really proud of him for stepping up and doing what he needed to do to help some friends, and he did get paid for it, so he's happy and I'm happy. But it did mean that we aren't as far along on the house as we had planned to be at this point, so I am going to have to bust my derriere this weekend trying to get some stuff done. And it'll be good. I mean, I'm looking forward to cooking my first major meal in the house tomorrow. I'm cheating and I'm making spaghetti, but I'm still going to be cooking a meal and baking bread in the oven for the first time, so this is going to be fun. Good Lord, Mark, if your rental house has been blown off the foundation twice, why do you still live there? That would make me run somewhere else, anywhere else.
How much C4 did it take?
um, no, he's talking about wind. Where he's at, he's on top of a hill and he gets some nasty winds. The comments are talking about weather more than I'm talking about weather at this point. Uh, Yikes. Yeah. So wind blowing the windows out. That had not occurred to me as a thing. Um, I mean, I figured that we would probably had to worry about hail blowing the windows out around here, but the wind itself had not occurred to me, and that I may have to factor into things here. Well, I'm glad that they anchored the house down better, Mark. So hopefully that will not happen again. I know this house isn't going to go anywhere. If it hasn't in the last 70 years, then it's not going to go anytime soon. So, speaking of my son, who's been a very hard worker, he just woke up from his nap, so he's a little dazed and confused looking.
That was less of a nap, more of a sleep.
Well,
I think I slept for like 5 hours.
ooh, that's sliding glass doors busting out is not a good thing, especially not with small children. Yeah. Um, but Mark, if your house had killed a witch, then that would probably be a mark of distinction for it. Um,
Or
and you might have gotten some really awesome shoes out of it too. But no, it's um this week has been one of those weeks where I'm just like, if I am not working, I feel guilty. And it's funny because we got here and did things, and then I'm sitting here and I was initially thinking that I was going to wash some dishes and maybe start some dinner. And then I remembered the live stream, but I'm actually thinking we might not get a whole lot more done tonight. Um, Don, this is a good point. Anywhere else in the world, if the house kills a witch, then they tend to look askance at you. Um, Oz is a whole different place with a different law enforcement system. If I recall correctly, the law enforcement at the Emerald City was kind of hesitant about enforcing much of anything.
I'm not going to enforce a law against somebody who throw houses at me.
Well, if you're in a city with a wizard already, the house throwing seems like it would come along. Now, I know we have the rest of our life to fix the house, but there's some things that have to be done before we move furniture in. And I, for one, would like to have all of my stuff in one box, which is the house, instead of currently in 3 boxes, which is the apartment, a storage container, and the house. Um, so, and just how big is your dog, Mark? Um, Speaking of dogs, ours has decided that she absolutely adores having free run of a backyard and would prefer to stay outside, thank you very much. And we actually have to bring her in instead of her coming in on her own. Now, if it were to do something awful like rain, then she'd want to be inside.
Nope.
But, oh, no, even in the rain, she wants to be outside?
She would walk through the rain to a little place without rain.
Okay. So we've got enough covered area in the backyard that the dog will even be outside in the rain now. But she is appreciating the freedom of the backyard.
I just cycle her.
Even when we were in Ohio, we kept her on a run because the yard there in Ohio was long and narrow, and we were talking about putting a gate at the back, where there had been a gate. Somebody had backed into it and they took it away. And we looked at that and we're like, at 3 a.m., we're going to let her out to go pee. She is going to run all the way down to the back of our double lot and bark her fool head off, and then we're going to have to go out there in the cold and the rain to drag her back in. So, yeah, no, I don't think fencing a cliff is from what it sounds like that house. I mean, do you at least have a good view? It's one of those things with the house hunting that we made a very high criteria for us for having a yard that either had an existing fence or had the ability to be fenced fairly easily. And I think, and I don't know if this was a local thing, but I think at least the county we used to live in and possibly all of Texas recently passed laws about not tying your dogs out and leaving them out. And I understand why, but that would actually hit the criteria of the dog run that we used to use for the dog, which allowed her to go out and lounge around and play.
Was there any white envelopes?
Um, and, oh, good. At least you have a view. Um, the run allowed us to let the dog be out as long as she wanted to be out, because it was almost always longer than we wanted to be out. And if we can't put her out on a run here, having the fence backyard is much better. But I mean, we're also good about making sure that she's got. Okay, it is all of Texas that you can't have the dog out on a tie out. Um, and with the dog, she's got water out there, and has her food inside. She's never out there so long that it's going to be an issue, because, well, she's our baby and we're not going to leave her out there for that long. But we did figure out that since she doesn't want to come in, we had to have water out there for her. And with this summer, of course, we may wind up getting another big watering. We have a gravity water that holds about 3 gallons. And right now that one's the one that's outside, so she has access to plenty of water. And I'm thinking we might wind up getting another one of those for the inside too. Because that way she'll have plenty. This dog drinks a lot of water. We were watching her water consumption for a while, and she drinks about 1.5 gallons a day. So making sure that she's got water is important. Yeah, no, a hawk and a puppy or a kitten is not a good combo. We lived in Alaska. The neighbors that were our closest neighbors, about a half mile down the road from us, had a great snowy owl nest right at the bottom of their driveway. And they had a ragdoll cat. And that was the first time I'd ever met a ragdoll cat. And ragdoll, their thing, and why they're called ragdoll, is they go limp when you pick them up. And you pick them up and they just go completely limp, and they're all cuddly, and they're actually very sweet cats. And this one was a lovely Burmese or Himalayan type, so Siamese markings but long hair. And they lived in fear of the cat getting outside, because that owl would have happily snatched said limp cat and taken it off to feed to the owlets. So, yeah, I've known many animals that would happily take a dog or a cat, and might as well not make it any easier for that to happen. See, we actually took Trixie to a dog park recently, and we looked at it and we thought, we're not going to let her go in there, because there was a small area for the small dogs, which makes sense, and there was a big area for big dogs. And we looked at it, and there was enough other dogs running around that we realized that our old girl with her bad back, she was likely to get in there and get playing and hurt herself, because that's how she hurt herself the last time, was playing. She put her back out playing with the in-laws' dog. So we opted not to do the dog park, and this wasn't too long before we got the house, so it became a moot point of how do we let her get some fun and exercise versus keeping her safe and not playing too hard, because like a lot of us, she no longer understands that she has limitations and will overdo it. But it's good. It's all good, and it's going to be a lot of change for the next few months. We were right, Dawn, exactly, and that's one of our concerns too. Is the fact that we know that she's okay with one or two dogs. She used to have regular play dates with a boxer, and she would bully him around, even though he outweighed her by 30 pounds and was a good 6 inches taller than her. But and she's good with other dogs, but she will play rough. And when you've got dogs being excited, they use their teeth. Not necessarily that they're trying to hurt one another, but it can happen. But it's a change for her. She seems to be happy with it. The cat, well, I haven't seen much of the cat since we moved her up here to the house. Hi, Mom. I'm glad you were able to pop in.
I didn't see much of the cat. She just spends most of the time sleeping in the living room, or I guess now my bedroom.
Yes. And the cat, Johan's saying that she mostly sleeps. And I know that he'd set up like a little fort for her when we were up here last weekend, and she was hiding in that, all snuggled down in blankets. So we actually were talking about bringing the cat tower down on this trip, and he said that she doesn't need it quite yet. It'll get in the way while we're working in the living room. Also, I'm looking at my child and realizing that he has streaks of blue paint in his hair.
There's also white hair on my scalp.
And he says white hair or
White paint
white paint as well.
in my
So
scalp, and there's some brown in there, and it's a different shade of white. It's more gray.
Is that an ice cream truck?
Dye for your hair, not paint. Ask your sister.
I've been painting in high winds.
This is from painting the porch. Okay.
Some of it's from painting the porch. Some of it's from painting my room. For a bit there, I was painting. The little droplets of paint that would come off and fall to the ground.
Well,
were going
you're gonna hear something in a minute that. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to escape this. So.
Oh, there's a different one.
Okay, as it stops right in front of our driveway. There must be children around here somewhere because the ice cream truck is loitering for it.
Oh, there's actually two different ice cream trucks.
Okay, and Johan is telling me that there are two different ice cream trucks.
There's also a red one that has just about a song.
But when does the margarita truck come through?
Oh.
I just broke the void.
A margarita truck I might actually run out there for. Yeah, he's just like parked at the end of our driveway. Oh, that's because somebody is actually walking over to get ice cream. So, and there goes okay, now they're gonna turn the music down. Well, that's delightful. Probably never gonna use the ice cream truck, but it's always fun that there is one.
It's better it's an ice cream truck and not a man with a little coat on the strap to the back of his bike.
So at the apartment complex, there was a guy with a bike, and he had
The
a.
empanadas were good.
What's that?
But the empanadas were good.
There was a guy with a bike that he had a big box strapped to the back of the bike, and I don't think he had something that was playing music, did he? It was just like it was bell. He had a bell he was ringing, and that he'd ride that around the apartment complex and sell ice cream too. Ian says that there is a margarita truck around here somewhere. All right, Sanford, when the margarita truck comes. Oh. Little ice cream cup sounds good about now.
You still eating out tonight?
I don't know what we're doing for dinner tonight. So, yep, old school ice cream truck. As he segues into another song. That one's a lullaby. I'm not sure about playing a lullaby. Yes, we did when we were at the apartment complex. We did get drug deal empanadas, which was pretty awesome. And they never came back again, which I was sad about, but it's okay. We will have to find out where the locals get their tamales in due season. Although I do know how to make tamales now, and they came out pretty well. So, oh, the problem with just running out to get ice cream is, first of all, I'm on a live stream, and second of all, I have myself blocked into a corner, so I can't easily just like jump up and run off the porch without knocking something over or someone over. I know there was ice cream here, but I'm looking at my son and he's getting all the shifty eyed over there.
I haven't I left it in the new freezer,
Uh-huh.
which is running a lot colder because I set everything super cold. 'Cause I didn't
Yes.
think anything was working right. So I put a spoon in and most of the ice cream touched the floor.
Oh,
Most of the ice cream did not
he
last.
dropped the ice cream on the floor.
It was
Ah,
a solid
well.
brick. I ate the rest of it,
He did eat he did eat most of it though. Okay, that's good.
so it didn't go to waste.
Facebook Marketplace for drug deal empanadas. So that's a good tip. I will have to check that out. Um, I think it's about that season for ice cream now. I it last weekend when we were up here, it was cold. It was very cold, and being Easter weekend, I expected it to be the last cold weekend because half a dozen people have told me that in Texas, frost is likely up until Easter weekend. But this weekend, it's I don't know, it was high of mid 80s earlier. Um, Dad, get Duolingo loaded on your phone. Teach yourself some Spanish. You should be able to at least order seis empanadas.
Can we go to Chili's for dinner?
Can we go to where for dinner?
Chili's.
No, I don't want to go to Chili's.
Why?
Margarita truck and a taco truck in the same place sounds to me like a food festival. Food trucks are fun.
Why not Chili's?
What's wrong with Chili's?
It's a chain for one thing.
We don't usually do franchise restaurants. We try to find little mom and pop
No,
restaurants.
we normally go to McDonald's.
No,
And
you
I
know
have
we
no
go to
idea how late the little diner here in town is
Six.
open.
Eight.
It's
Six.
open until 8.
Lulu says 6.
Okay, there's some debate about when the little restaurant here in town closes, so we're probably not going there for dinner tonight. I think I have eggs, I have cheese. I'm thinking that we're probably gonna have a
Why don't we go
omelet
to
or a
this
frittata.
barbecue and Cajun eats that's supposedly half a mile away?
Barbecue and Cajun Eats. Does that one have a
Rafter
name?
J's?
Yeah.
Ah, Rafter
That's where
J's.
we wanted to go last week, and you. Oh no, we got to eat pizza at home.
I just didn't want to do with people last week.
So we're discussing dinner. This seems to happen a lot during the live stream, whether that the family is having a conversation
Because
about
we
dinner.
programmed it around our dinner time.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
We eat from 6 to 7.
So,
It's after 7, so we shouldn't be talking food.
Actually, live stream's still going on.
okay, Rafter J is good. Yes, I actually know this. I've been to Rafter J once a while back, and the live stream is late because I got in and lost track of time. So I'm being given. No, we're not doing the Burger Co. again. The guys tried the Burger Co. last weekend, and it was overpriced and under-seasoned. So,
And soggy fries.
and Johan, who's very particular about his French fries, says the fries are soggy. So Burger Co. is right out.
Burger Co is dead to us.
Yeah, I could probably do some proper macaroni and cheese. I've got noodles here. I know I have macaroni noodles. I'm not doing spaghetti because I'm making that for dinner tomorrow night. So I have to pick up some stuff at the market, but that's not a tonight thing. That's probably a send Sanford on errands tomorrow. The thing is that when the house is fully set up, I usually have enough random stuff in the refrigerator that improvising a meal is not too difficult. The problem with this house right now is the fact that we don't
Okay,
have
cheers,
that.
Zelda. I need a drink here.
So, um, I don't have the just, oh, grab this, grab that, and grab the other thing, and we're good to go. And I also don't have my instant pot up here, so I can't do a quick and easy throw it on the. So,
What is that?
so herbs is good, Dad. I've got some herbs myself. I need to get some pots and potting soil. The kid bought tomatoes and um, cucumber plants. And so I need to figure out what I'm going to plant those in and put them
They
in
have
soil.
interesting
So,
diets. Like if you can find a cherry
yeah, a
vanilla,
case of Dinty Moore
cherry
is
orange,
probably not a bad idea. We
cherry
should have a
cola,
can of tuna around here somewhere,
twist and
and
diet cola.
we could do tuna salad. No, we can't do tuna salad. We haven't got any mayo up here either.
What's way together?
See, that's the thing. Is
Bubba,
yes, Johan.
is it? Well, okay, I'll have to look this up. But if there's a Costco nearby, can we do Costco? I've never been.
There's not a Costco, but there is a Sam's Club. Well, actually, there might be a Costco, but I know there's a Sam's Club.
Yes, but I want
So.
Costco because Costco is
Mark, I'm not sure about straw bales in Texas because of the watering.
107
So,
miles.
what's that?
107 miles.
Okay, so there's not a Costco near here. Um, the miracle of Google has spoken. Right, no, Dawn, I know that. And now that we have a house again, I can start buying in bulk again. I have a chest freezer which is mostly empty currently, and I need to remedy that. Um, I hit Aldi and picked up some stuff for the kid last week, but the
The closest BJ's is 935 miles.
yeah, BJ's is more of a New England thing.
The closest one is 935 miles.
Right. So, yeah, you told me about Atwoods, and I need to check that out, because that one sounded like fun. And this is probably a tomorrow thing. Tonight, I will improvise with whatever we've got on hand, or I will take the guys out and we'll all go to a restaurant, even though some of us are painty. You look like you've been working, kid. That's not a bad
I
thing.
have made $300 for 10 and a half hours work.
Yep, you've been
With
doing
this
good.
contracting work. And I also got at least
Ben,
one
that
thing.
sounds good. But I don't have the room to to grow corn, beans, and squash here. Well, not unless I turn most of my front yard into a garden. Not sure what the neighbors would think of that, but then again, we don't have an HOA, so not sure that they can do anything about it either. I usually try to camouflage my edible gardening in with my decorative landscaping. Um, yeah, I think Lowe's closes at 9. I don't think we're going to get much done tonight as far as work, just food. Koala, I could make my own mayo. I'm probably not going to, but I could. Actually, yeah, I could make my own mayo because I do have a blender up here. I packed. Hey, dude, you've got chicken in the fridge. I brought your waffle maker up. We could have chicken and waffles.
Or we could have a lot of ribs.
200 pounds of grass-fed beef sounds good, Mom. That's kind of what I'm thinking we're going to need to do is come up with a good place to buy a side of beef, which probably also means a bigger freezer than I've got, because I'm not sure the one I've got's big enough.
How about a side of moose?
What is gumbo?
Gumbo is a kind of stew?
Apparently it's very good here.
Yes, yes,
Same
I
with
can
the shrimp.
see.
Gumbo can be very, very good. It can also be nasty, it's like anything else. Who cooks it?
And they have good fries from the looks of it.
Well, Stephen, if you crush a bag of chips, are you going to use it to coat something and deep fry it? Because eating crushed chips is not generally much fun, but they do make a good coating for breaded and fried things. Sweet potatoes do make a pretty ground cover.
As long
The
as you don't use flaming hot Cheetos for that.
uh, uh, um,
They can
Don, that's a good thought, and it would give me an excuse to come up and visit too. So we may go that direction. Uh, Dad, no pigeons. Pig, we haven't got a space for a pig. Although if I could find someone local that has them and buy a half a hog, I'd put that in the freezer. And then of course there's wild hogs, but that's a whole different ball of wax that I'm not ready to get into hunting yet. It'd take me some time to get settled and figure things out because it's not that easy. But it's
I can eat so much from this place.
so Johan hasn't eaten all day. He's hungry and he's sitting here with a menu. Okay, he's eating ice cream. Um, he's sitting here with a menu trying to order like half the restaurant.
He's torturing himself, which is good. That saves me the work.
No, Ben, absolutely. You can grow pole beans up the corn. You want to make sure you got pole beans and planted them because bush beans doesn't work as well. Um, and the squash sprawls and makes a good ground cover, shades the roots for everything. Um, Mark, good to know about the spiral hams because I did plan to pick up a couple of hams to toss in the freezer. Sanford really loves ham, and it's nice to have a big ham, makes a good meal, and then you have the ham bone and leftovers. So that's always a popular thing for me. We usually have one or two hams at any given moment in the freezer, and we had to stop that because when we were living in the apartment, we had little tiny refrigerator freezer, and there was no way to put a ham and anything else in there. So now that we've got the our big freezer out of the storage and running, we will be stocking up.
I'm looking to buy an actual big freezer instead of that little one.
So yeah, ham leftovers are good stuff. You can do so many things with ham. Ham is versatile. Eggs are versatile. I have a list on my website, and I really need to revisit it and do some of the recipes for it, so that I can link the list because it's one of the more popular posts on my website of 99 ways to cook eggs. And so there's salad that doesn't have greens in it. I mean, you can have tuna salad, no greens in that, and bean salad, and egg salad, chicken salad. So there's salads without greens.
Macaroni salad.
I mean, my favorite kind of salad does not involve any lettuce. I like salad that is I like salad that is okay. The wind has picked up here. I'm kind of looking around at it. It is cucumber, tomato, maybe a little onion, some fresh herbs,
Feta.
and feta cheese, and a nice Greek vinaigrette over that. Um, yeah, that's usually a good time to get ham is right after a big holiday because it goes on sale. We like baby spinach here, so we eat a lot of baby spinach. As a matter of fact, honey, we bought that bag of spinach and we did not bring it up from the apartment, did we?
We'll eat it Monday.
Okay. So we were looking at our schedule this coming weekend. We have TulCon, so we'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma for a convention, and because of some scheduling and appointments that have to be done, we are actually going to come to the house from the apartment on Wednesday night and then not go back to the apartment until sometime late Monday night, probably. So we'll be gone for 5 days, which is making Sanford uncomfortable leaving the apartment sitting unattended for that long. But we have to do it. It's just not going to work to do it any other way. So I am looking forward to TulCon. It should be a fun time. It's the first time I've done this one. As a matter of fact, it might be the first year of this convention. I'm thinking they tried to start it and COVID but don't quote me on that. So Aldi when we were down at the apartment, the Aldi was actually in a really awkward place to get to. So you could get into it fairly easy, but getting out of the parking lot, you wound up the only way to get out of the parking lot dumped you off into a weird street, and you had to go almost a mile out of the way just to get back to be able to go home. So I stopped going to Aldi, and I have discovered that the Aldi in the little city that we're near. I'm still training myself not to say city names because y'all probably know, but this is open to general public, and I'd rather not identify my location too closely. But so Itchy Paw has a Lowe's home improvement store, and right next to it an Aldi, which is super convenient right now. And yes, Jolie, I would love to see you at TallCon. I know I'll also be doing FenCon in September. So if you happen to be visiting your sister, we might get together. Um, what's that?
Oh, Joey's gonna be there. I'll settle.
Uh, cheese and ketchup on bread. Yes, that sounds like something a small child would want to eat. Although, then again, my son, who's not that small, would also probably eat that. Um, I'm just adopting the code names that were already existing before we moved to tiny town near Itchy Paw. Um, I used to live near the Hamptons, Koala. That's as close as I was. Um, no, it's I mean, oh good, you will be at FenCon. Excellent. It'll be good to see you. Um, no, it's I am very much enjoying sitting here, and I'm chit chatting with you all. The wind is rushing around. There are birds, a couple of little birds. There are doves chasing each other across the yard. A couple of little birds in this little tree out in my front yard that I have not yet identified. Um, oh, yeah, nice sliced ripe tomato, not ketchup, and some cheese and honey, I may send you to the store real quick. Because that one sounds like a good dinner about now. And we have pickles in there. We need mayonnaise, though. Can't have a cheese and mater Sammy without mayonnaise. At least I can't. Ooh, chocolate cream pie sounds lovely. I,
Can I have my cheese and mayo sandwich with extra bacon?
I have the stuff here to make a pretty easy pie. I've got pudding. Okay, a tater sandwich is just going too far for me, Ben.
All the potato chips on a bologna sandwich.
Okay, mater sandwich works. Um, my husband is over here talking about putting potato chips on a bologna sandwich, and
Barbecue.
poll time. Does that sound awful to anybody else, or is it just me? Because cucumber and tomato sandwich. I don't think I've ever done that.
Not bad.
Well, Dad, that's convenient for getting food, though, if you have turkeys, chicken, and pig factories. Oh, and now there is a little bird right in the vines. Ah, that's Mrs. Cardinal chipping at me. She's right in the vines on the porch, so less than 10 feet away from Sanford right now. And if you hear those little indignant high-pitched noises, that would be the bird. Oh, honey, does she have a nest in there?
Yes, I believe she
We
does.
have a cardinal nest in the vines on our porch. Mrs. Cardinal just snuggled herself down into her little nest. All right, I guess I'm not pruning those vines for a while.
We can prune the ones above her.
Well, carefully. I don't want to disturb her too much. Aha! I am informed that chips on bologna is classic army food.
Yes.
Ian says this. Koala says bacon and kimchi sandwich. Koala, I'd eat that.
I wouldn't.
Dawn only uses sour cream and cheddar chips on her bologna sandwiches. I may have to try this.
Green onion on bologna sandwiches.
See, my thing is, I didn't grow up with bologna, so bologna for me is not good eats. I was, oh gosh, I must have been 17 or 18 the first time I could remember eating bologna. And it was fried bologna made by this lovely little old southern lady, pastor's wife, 80 if she was a day, not that a lady ever reveals her age. Um, and she would make fried bologna and serve it to us on sliced white bread. I don't think it was even Wonder Bread. And we ate it and we smiled and we said thank you because they were the sweetest people. And we were there. So the Bible college that I attended when I was fresh out of high school, we had to do service hours. And so we were assigned to a church. And I was part of a little tiny group that went to a little tiny church up on the hill of a holler in West Virginia, and we did Wednesday night children's services. And they fed us, and we weren't going to say no. So that was an education for me because I grew up, we never had white bread. And I mean, I'm sure I did eat it because I can remember my grandma Rose, with every meal, there was a loaf of white bread, not homemade, just white bread in a bag. And that you were expected to have a slice of bread with your meal, which was not something that I encountered again until I was well into my adulthood. It just wasn't a thing for us growing up. No, I know, and I'm looking over here at my husband who would be happy if that was a thing at our meal time.
Biscuits, cornbread.
Yep. Well, see, that's the thing. Growing up, Mom did a triangular meal. We had a protein, a starch, and a vegetable. So, it was very, very rare that we double starched a meal. So, exactly, Dawn. It's cheap carbs, and I get why people do it, and I totally get why, because you're used to it. That's a thing. It's just, it was weird to me personally. It was something I had to learn.
That's because you and your mother are weird when it comes to food. Your mother's extremely weird when it comes to food.
And that's not wrong. I mean, I grew up with a very different outlook on food than most of my peer group for sure. And it's been one of the interesting culture things with Sanford and I has been food and eating patterns um and it's been an adjustment because now one of the things that I don't do to him is for a long time he was being fed potatoes at every meal. Literally 3 meals a day, potatoes all the time. And so now I very rarely feed him potatoes because it's one of those things that he is not fond of potatoes any longer. I wonder why. So I try not to feed him potatoes, and I try not to double starch a meal. I occasionally will, but I'm more likely to do a single starch. I did get him for a long time. We got this bread at Aldi's that was this nice 12 grain bread, and that stuff was good. I miss that. We're going to have to start getting that again. Yep, we've got an adult Aldi's close, and the Aldi's bread was like half the price of the equivalent bread any other store. So that was, we'd get a loaf of kid bread and a loaf of our bread because the kids would not eat our whole grain, 12 grain, nice hearty bread, but they were missing out. It was good stuff. I don't make bread as much as I used to.
I'll eat it.
I love Yeah, no, I love making bread, but I don't have time to make bread. Like, I'm going to make 3 loaves of bread tomorrow, 2 loaves of Italian for garlic bread, and I think 2 loaves should be enough. Well, I've already been told that 3 people are not going to be at dinner because they're off doing a show.
2 loaves
So,
there. 2 loaves for me.
my husband's asking me to make 3 loaves and leave one at home. But no, I'm gonna make Italian bread for dinner tomorrow, so I can make garlic bread, and I'm also gonna make a picture window focaccia and decorate it with vegetables to look like flowers. So, Dawn, I don't know why your arms get mad at you because when I'm making biscuit mix, I use my food processor and cut the fat, shortening, or lard into. In fact, I just blogged about this the other day. I did this one by hand, but I used to do bulk batches of it, about 10 pounds at a time. And I use the food processor to process the fat into the flour and also the leavening agents at the same time. Um, these days, I actually probably would use my stand mixer for that. I use my stand mixer for making bread. It's going to be interesting tomorrow because the stand mixer is in the apartment, not here. But I do have my food processor, and if I can find my bread blade, there's the thing, is whether I can find the bread blade. Um, the the yeah, no, the food, I because I have a big food processor. My late father-in-law, my first marriage, sweet sweet man. Um, he kept giving me kitchen gadgets, so I have some awesome kitchen gadgets. But 5-gallon bucket of biscuit mix. Well, okay. You and I need to talk about that recipe, and we'll portion that down for you. So you, because that's probably more than, I think it's just what you and your mom. So that's a little bit more than you really want to deal with. When I had 4 kids at home and 3, 4 adults eating at every meal, and 10 pounds of biscuit mix would last me about a week or two, depending. But oh, good, I'll find it. Um, yeah, the bread. We used to make a recipe for bread that made 6 loaves. That's my mom's recipe that I have written down in my recipe box around here somewhere. But for Italian bread, it's dead simple because um, it's you start with your warm water and your yeast, and the size of the batch I'm going to do, about a tablespoon of sugar in there. And I always bloom my yeast. You don't necessarily have to, but I always bloom my yeast. And then from there, it's basically. Now, with Italian, I do a little bit of different. It's not quite like French, which is very rudimentary as far as it is flour, yeast, salt, and water. That's it for French. With Italian bread, I usually put a little olive oil in there. And but yeah, I will be baking that tomorrow, mostly by feel. I probably will look up a recipe for focaccia just because I don't make it often enough that I remember all the little finessey details about that. And this oven does not have a proofing drawer, so I will probably proof it in the garage because it's warm in the garage. That makes sense, Don, to mix in the bucket because you have nice high sides. I brought my bread bowl up with me because I knew I was going to be making a bunch of bread, and it is a wide, shallow bowl, and it is literally about this wide, and so I'm holding my hands probably about 20 inches apart, and the the bread bowl I can knead in. And yeah, it's definitely too large to do in one batch in the stand mixer. If I were going to be doing this batch at home, I would do 2 different batches. And Dawn, when I did 10 pounds of biscuit mix, I did multiple batches. And then I would do a final mix in my bread bowl before bagging it or putting it in a canister. Um, so I used to have a lot more mixing bowls than I do currently, but they got left in New Hampshire. So what I have now, and when we moved out of Ohio, I actually got rid of a few of the stock pots too, because I was thinking that I wasn't going to be doing canning anymore. So, Stephen, I have been finding large metal bowls at places like flea markets, garage sales, and I will scoop up a decent metal bowl when I find it. I picked up a set of really heavy duty stainless steel bowls that nest at a thrift shop of all places, just an odd little junky shop about 4 or 5 years ago. And that thing I have been toting around happily since then. It's actually currently in storage. I didn't take it to the apartment. Restaurant supply places are absolutely the bomb for buying kitchenware. They're generally cheaper than the frou-frou stuff. They're better quality than you're going to get at most department stores. And I like the heavy aluminum pans I can get for cooking from restaurant supply places. But again, I buy a lot of stuff. I have this fantastic paella pan that I picked up at a thrift shop for cheap. And it's in gorgeous shape. It looks like it was never used. Some things I have that were bought new, but very, very little. Most of my stuff has been secondhand. Ooh, that looks good. Grab it. I actually almost bought some cast iron about a month ago now. Yeah, it's been just about a month when my kids were up for a visit. We were actually in an antique mall, and I saw a cast iron piece to replace one that we have that's cracked, and then opted not to buy it because we were going to be moving. So now that we are moved, I will start looking again for what it is. Is it's the round, flat skillet for. It's like a flat griddle, but it's round and it fits just on top of one burner. And the one that we have is cracked almost through, and when you heat it, you can see the crack get bigger. So we keep looking at that and thinking, one of these days it's going to go pop and it's going to be in two pieces. And I get that. If you're in a small town, finding stuff like this can get harder. But I have lived in some pretty small, remote towns, and there's generally some interesting. Well, okay, when we lived in the little town up in New Hampshire, I would either drive to half an hour to and do thrift shops at the local bigger city, and I would plan a day and go hit 3 or 4 of them, or I got a lot of stuff at what we called the free shop at the town dump, where people would take stuff and just there was like a little house, little shed that they'd put up at the dump, and you could go in there and there was shelves full of stuff. We got a lot of stuff there, including something I regret having lost, which was an all wool LL Bean plaid blanket. That thing was amazing, and I am so sad that I managed to mislay that one of the moves. But that's what these things do, is every time you move, the gremlins take off with stuff. Yeah, I think I've seen some of the Chuck Wagon stuff at Tractor Supply, and I definitely need to check out Atwood's. So that's going to be right there up there on my list of things to do. Right, and Don, I entirely understand that. When we lived in Alaska, that was pretty much, we didn't do any kind of, there wasn't a thrift shop in town. There was some charity stuff that we'd accumulate clothes and whatnot and hand them out to people that needed them, but there wasn't big enough for. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to be looking here, so I'll let you all know if I do find one. But yes, and I'm going to make a mangle of pronouncing that name. La Michoacana is. I've been in there once, and I definitely need to. I definitely need to go back there again, because they'll have those big, huge, heavy-duty aluminum cooking pans, and I want to get me one of those because I will use the heck out of that. Uh, I am not afraid of cooking with aluminum. I know how to treat it, and it's not going to be an issue. But the Connoisseur, I've got to find. I've seen a couple of them as we were moseying around Itchy Paw looking for other things. But Oh yeah, no, reseasoning cast iron is not a big deal. As a matter of fact, today when I was packing, I have a cast iron skillet, classic 12-inch skillet that's actually meant for the boys' hope chest, and it needs to be reseasoned along with a small skillet that I don't know what happened to it, but it needs to be reseasoned. So if I pick up another piece, I'll do a bunch of them up at once and reseason them all. Um, Oh, Mark, also on Amazon, you can find Nordic ware sheet pans pretty inexpensively. I was looking at them the other day. I'm not going to buy anything right now until I figure out what I still have, and because there may very well be stuff that's still in storage. But I need a couple of half sheet pans if they'll fit in my oven here. That's the other thing is I've got to figure out what's going to fit into the oven. Um, and that'll tell me what I need to acquire. Um, right, I've got some wire brushes as well, the for the drill, and I have some for the Dremel that do a really nice job. You want to be careful with it because you don't want to pit your cast iron, but generally a nice quick brush with the wire brush set will do the trick on getting rid of your rust on any cast iron. I have picked up some truly deplorable cast iron from yard sales dirt cheap because it was rusted and nasty and people don't know how to deal with that. So we've had quite a lot more cast iron than I think we currently do. For one thing, when the girls moved out, they each got a full set of cast iron. Big skillet, little skillet, and a Dutch oven. And I think one of them also got a cornbread pan. But koala, if they're the decent fish sticks, they actually make fun little fish tacos. With a little bit of shredded Napa cabbage and some sour cream. It's tasty. Yeah, currently the Dutch oven I've been using the most is my enameled Dutch oven, and if anyone knows how to make enamel not stain as badly, I'd love to hear ideas. But that's probably going to be a different different live stream because I'm looking at the time and I have been okay. So, gosh, cast iron seems to be coming back down. Now it really depends on the cast iron. The lodge stuff, the modern stuff, is generally I've seen it run $20-$30. Now if you're talking old school Griswold sand cast iron, yeah, you're going to be looking at $100. But it's well, Aaron, that probably is what will do the trick, but I have teenagers that cook, so more power is a thing in my house. So I have some good Dutch ovens that are not enameled, and that's probably what I'll try and drift towards is using those for the deep frying with the kid. I have actually threatened to buy a Fry Daddy confined fryer thing, which we might end up doing now that we are settled and I have the space to get stuff. Um, yeah, you don't want to pay. Well, it depends on the cast iron. I mean, I've paid more than $50 for cast iron, but it was a special piece. Um, so it's one of those things of my son informed me the other day that the cast iron wok that I own that he wants to take off with that when he sets up his own household, and I looked at him and I'm like, you realize that's an heirloom because it was a gift to me from your grandfather, and hey, that was just a promise me you'll take care of it, not a I'm not giving it to you, because I find that the cast iron wok is nice, but I prefer a carbon steel wok. The cast iron's heavy for me to manipulate, but Baking soda and dish soap. I will have to give that a try. Garlic baker. That sounds like fun, Dad. Well, folks, I am going to let y'all go, and I have a cast iron waffle maker. I've actually blogged about it because it is a thing of beauty, and it belonged to my great great grandmother. My husband put new handles on it, hadn't been used in decades because the handles were gone, and I am looking forward to pulling that out and getting to use it. And on that note, folks, I think I'm going to go in there and make chicken and waffles. Y'all have a good night now, and I'll see you next week. Bye.